the man who saved 669 children and stayed silent for 50 years. Imagine saving hundreds of children from the clutches of the Nazis and then never telling a soul, not your family, not your friends, not even your wife. For 50 years. This is the story of Sir Nicholas Winton, the quiet hero who rescued 669 children from certain death, then locked the secret away in his attic. It's December 1938. Europe is teetering on the edge of all-out war. Adolf Hitler has already annexed Austria and the Sudetenland. The next target, Czechoslovakia. Nicholas Winton, a 29-year-old London stockbroker, has planned a ski trip in Switzerland. But a single phone call from a friend changes everything. Instead of heading to the slopes, he boards a train to Prague. What he finds there looks nothing like the travel brochures. Tens of thousands of desperate families are crowding the city, Jewish refugees who have fled the Nazis, huddled in freezing camps, clutching their children. They know what's coming. They know what Hitler's Germany means for them. And the clock is ticking. Nicholas is no soldier, no politician, no spy. He has no authority. But he looks around at those camps and makes a decision that will change history. If no one else will save these children, I will. He rents a tiny hotel room and transforms it into an office. The desk is covered with photographs of children, piles of documents, scribbled lists of names. Parents begin lining up outside his door, begging for help, pressing their children's photos into his hands. But how do you smuggle hundreds of kids out of a country about to be swallowed by Hitler? Nicholas begins forging documents, writing to governments, begging for entry visas. He bribes officials, twists rules, and invents paperwork to make it look legitimate. Back in London, Nicholas works by day at the stock exchange, and by night, he runs a rescue mission from his dining table. His mother helps him write letters, plead with British families, and beg for donations. The response is pitiful. Most governments refuse to help. Britain says it will accept children, but only if families agree to sponsor them, pay a deposit, and promise to send them home when the crisis ends. Nicholas knows most parents will never see their children again. Still, he keeps going. He organizes trains from Prague to Holland, then ferries across the Channel, then placement with British foster families. Each child needs a photograph, a visa, a host family, and a ticket. Every detail must be perfect or the Nazis will notice. The first transport leaves Prague in March 1939. Children hug their parents on the platform, not knowing it's the last time they will ever see them. Small hands press against the glass as the train begins to roll. Parents wave desperately, holding back tears. Train after train follows. Nicholas personally oversees the lists. The number grows. 50 children, 200, 400 by August 1939. He has secured safe passage for 669 children. They scatter across Britain, taken in by strangers, learning new languages, building new lives. Most will never again hear from their families in Czechoslovakia. But there was supposed to be one more train, the biggest one yet, nearly 250 children waiting on the platform in Prague. Nicholas had arranged everything. Tickets bought. Families ready to meet them in London. September 1st, 1939, the day the train was scheduled to depart. That morning, Hitler invaded Poland. The borders slammed shut. War had begun. That last train never left the station. Many of those children and their parents vanished into concentration camps. Most never came back. Nicholas would later call it the greatest regret of his life. When the war ended, Nicholas didn't boast about his mission. He didn't write memoirs or seek recognition. He simply packed away the documents, the names, the photographs, the train schedules into an old scrapbook and slid it into his attic. Even his wife, Greta, had no idea what her husband had done. For 50 years, he lived a quiet life in Britain, working in finance, raising a family, never saying a word. To everyone else, he was just an ordinary man. Then in 1988, Greta discovered the scrapbook in her attic. Inside, meticulous lists of children's names, visa stamps, photographs of terrified faces. She was stunned. She shared it with a historian, who shared it with a journalist. And soon, Nicholas Winton was invited to a BBC program called That's Life. Nicholas sat quietly in the front row, holding his scrapbook, unsure why he was even there. The host asked him to stand and spoke of the children he had saved. Then came the question, "Is there anyone here who owes their life to Nicholas Winton?" One woman stood up, then another, then another. Row after row of adults rose to their feet. The entire studio filled with people. Nicholas turned and for the first time realized he was surrounded by the very children he had rescued, now grown, with families of their own. Tears streamed down his face. The audience wept with him. Nicholas Winton never saw himself as a hero. "Why did I keep it secret?" he once said. "Because I didn't think what I did was particularly special. I just saw something that needed doing and I did it." But today, those 669 children are called the Winton's children. Many went on to become scientists, artists, teachers, and leaders. Entire generations exist because of him. When Nicholas Winton passed away in 2015 at the age of 106, tributes poured in from around the world. He had lived long enough to see his story told, and his children grown into thousands of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Nicholas Winton's story isn't just about war or rescue. It's about what one ordinary person can do when they refuse to look away. He didn't wear a crown or command an army. He wasn't remembered in textbooks for decades. But he saved more lives than many kings and generals combined. Sometimes the greatest acts of courage are the ones that no one notices, until years later, when the truth finally comes out of the attic. If you want more interesting historical stories, kindly subscribe and like this video. Thanks.